That was a really good recommendation. I mean, I read those comments that this guy is very good at telling stories.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, he was.
But he really is.
He really is.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Waldemar.
And I'm Weronika, and I'm very confused. Because I see the title of the video that we're going to watch today, which is The Most Gangster Politician Ever, Cassius Marcellus Clay.
Mm-hmm. There is a baby.
Yes, and I don't know who that guy is, and I don't know if he's gangster because he has the baby, or if the baby is the gangster. I don't...
No, actually, this channel is the Fat Electrician one.
Oh, the one that we kept getting recommended, the one that you thought was like
and now I surrendered. I said, okay, we have so much recommendations. Let's watch the guy.
Okay, so the channel is Fat Electrician, and the guy. He's not fat though.
No, but how do you know it's about him?
I don't know.
No. But yeah, we had so many recommendations to watch this guy that finally I said, okay, let's watch him. So I turned on his channel and I was looking through his popular videos and I thought, well, let's watch something not that long.
Just for a start, okay.
Yeah, so there is this video. And yeah, I wanted to something not that long and also something that would interest us.
Who is Cassius Marcellus? Because I don't think I...
He is the subject of this video.
Yeah, but should I know who...
No. Okay. I think...
Do you know?
I think he searches topics on his channel that are not so well known. Mm-hmm. That's why I think he's so popular and interesting. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I never even see 1 second, I think, of his clips.
Okay.
So today is our first time. And yeah, let's see if your recommendations are that good.
No stress though, no pressure.
No stress, yeah. Yeah, and he has a baby here. Let's begin.
It's a riveting story. It was really good. All right, we gotta go. I gotta tell the internet about the guy I named you after, okay? You gotta go hang out with Mom now.
Oh.
Today we're talking about the most gangster politician in American history, ladies and gentlemen, Cassius Marcellus Clay, aka the Lion of Whitehall. Whitehall being his family home that he grew up in Kentucky as the son of one of the richest slave owners in all of America. While going to college at Yale to become a lawyer, he would attend a speech from a famous abolitionist by the name of William Lloyd Garrison, and that speech would change...
You know who abolitionists are?
The ones who didn't want there to be slavery anymore?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Cassius Clay, by the way, is the name of original name of Muhammad Ali.
Oh, is it?
Muhammad Ali, no, it's the famous boxer.
I know it was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, but he was...
But Cassius Clay sounds even more badass. Why would he have changed it?
It was because of religious reasons.
Ah, okay, he wanted connection to his religion.
Yeah, because he changed religion to Islam.
And he wanted to represent that as well.
So
okay.
he changed his name, and also he believed that, if I remember correctly from this movie with Will Smith, because Will Smith played him, and in this movie, the character of Muhammad Ali is saying that Cassius Clay was like a slave name. Ah. That's why he wanted to change the name.
So a slave owner gave his son a slave name?
Yeah, that's why I wonder, because I never heard about this Cassius Marcellus Clay guy. So that's why I'm interested.
The entire trajectory of Cassius Clay's life, as well as American history. It is at that moment that Cassius Clay decided he was not only going to be quietly opposed to slavery, but that he was actively going to fight against it. He would be set down the path to become the most influential abolitionist of all time. Oh god, forgot to do the ad. Hold on. Sorry for bothering the video. Real quick, this video is brought to you by the biggest sponsor of the channel and my favorite sporting goods store, Shields. They've got over 30 retail locations across the United States and an even better online store that I'm going to have linked down below, and if you use my code, you're going to get free shipping. They've got everything you could imagine there. This is where I got this shirt. It's where I got this backpack. All of it was on sale. It was a great deal. Again, use my code down below. You're going to get free shipping. Back to the video. Oh, wait, hold on.
You know, one thing that it's not so good to be European. You watch some videos on YouTube and you got this guy who you're watching and he's recommending something to you, some sponsor video, and you're like, oh wow, that's a great deal, I want to use that, and then it's like, oh, it's only for US only.
There's also this trend of like HelloFresh and other things that I would like to try, you know, when you get the ingredients to your house, and we could never try it.
Yeah, we are trying to set up a new PC. because ours that we are using right now is kind of old. So, editing on this computer is a chore. So lately we are searching, through different YouTube channels, recommending some builds. And I found one recently with some great deals on Amazon. And then I read in the comments that it's only for US and none of these deals applies on Europe. So that's life.
I forgot to mention, Muhammad Ali's original name was Cassius Clay. Yeah, he was actually named after this guy too. Anyways, back to the video. Bye-bye. If you don't know at this point in time, there's basically two different camps you could fall into for being anti-slavery. You could be an abolitionist or an emancipationist. An emancipationist is somebody that wants to vote it out over time, over the next 5, 10, 20 years, versus an abolitionist, which is somebody that believes we need to end slavery right now, and they're willing to fight about it. And in the case of Cassius Clay, he was willing to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. You see, Cassius Clay wasn't just some nobody punk kid that went off to college and decided that he didn't like slavery. This was the son of one of the wealthiest slave owners in all of America. So for him to come out and voice anti-slavery views was a huge deal, and it pissed off a lot of people. So, being that this was the 1820s, what do you do when you're pissed off? You challenge somebody to a duel. So needless to say, the young Cassius Clay found himself partaking in an awful lot of duels, and he never, ever lost. So, obviously he's pretty good at it, and what do you do when you find something you're pretty good at? You want to keep doing it, right? Right. So Cassius Clay starts challenging anyone and everyone to a duel that dares to oppose him. It became common knowledge in his community that Cassius Clay would be willing to fight the wind if it blew from the west and he wanted it to blow from the east. This man went on a dueling rampage, so much so that by the time he graduated college, he was considered to be the deadliest duelist in all of North America. This guy was putting slave owners in the dirt like he was Johnny Appleseed planting fucking trees. He became known as the deadliest abolitionist of all time. So he graduates from college, goes back home as a lawyer. Shortly after that, his father passes away and leaves everything to Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay immediately frees all of his father's slaves, costing himself $40,000, which is roughly $2 million today. And then he even gives some of the slaves land and money on top of it, absolutely infuriating the pro-slavery people in Kentucky. So what do you do when half the local population hates your guts? You run for public office, and that's exactly what Cassius Clay did. He served in the Kentucky State Legislature from 1835 to 1841, and then finally lost his re-election, to which the pro-slavery crowd breathed a huge sigh of relief because they finally defeated Cassius Clay, or so they thought. Clay immediately starts traveling the country, giving amazing anti-slavery speeches, winning over hearts and minds, and this absolutely infuriates the pro-slavery people because they don't know how to stop him. You can't legally stop a guy from talking to people that want to listen to him, and they can't legally kill Cassius Clay in a duel because he's the best duelist on earth. What do? You've got to illegally kill him. The problem with that is they can't find a hitman that's dumb enough to think that they can take out Cassius Clay, so they have to go to the one crevice of the planet where they can find somebody truly insane enough to think that they can do this job. And that man's name was Sam Brown, an assassin from New Orleans. 1834, Russell Cave, Kentucky. Cassius Clay's finishing up one of his world-famous speeches as he pulls out a burlap sack.
So New Orleans, so like US Russia.
US Russia?
Reaches into the sack and pulls out a holy Bible and says, "For those of you that believe in the laws of God, I make to you this argument against slavery." Sets the Bible on the table. Reaches back in the sack, pulls out a copy of the US Constitution, and says, "For those of you that believe in the laws of man, I present to you this argument against slavery." Sets the Constitution down on the table. Drops a burlap sack to the ground and says, "For those of you that believe in neither the laws of God or man, I make to you this argument against slavery," as he pulls out both of his pistols and sets them on the table, which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck.
I was gonna say that's gangster as fuck. I imagine, like, did it come naturally to him, this plan? Like, he was just, okay, yes, this and this and this, or did he, like, shower, you know, like, sit in his cold bath?
And then I will take out the pistol. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, no, not one pistol, 2 pistols.
Yeah, that's the best part. It wasn't 1 pistol, it was 2 pistols.
And then he, like, sits by his table and he, like, shines them so they make a really good impression. He's like, and then when I put the Bible, I'm gonna say. But it is very gangster.
And it pulls out both of his pistols and sets them on the table, which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck. And at this moment, Sam Brown comes up on stage and shoots Cassius Clay point blank in the chest. Luckily, Cassius Clay never leaves home without his trusted Bowie knife, which resides inside of a metal sheath. And that metal sheath would catch Sam Brown's bullet, saving Cassius Clay's life. At which point, Cassius Clay would draw his Bowie knife and charge Sam Brown. 6 of Sam Brown's friends in the audience tried to stop Cassius Clay. He would fight his way through all 6 of them, making his way to Sam Brown, promptly stabbing him in the chest, and then turning him into a Mr. Potato Head by cutting off his nose, lopping off his ear, and gouging out one of his eyes. Then the 6 men recovered and were able to peel Clay off of him. Not knowing what to do, knowing they couldn't stop Cassius Clay forever, they panicked, probably for fear that Cassius Clay was going to start shoving this guy's facial features up his ass next. They did the only thing they could come up with to get the two apart. They picked up their friend Sam Brown, threw him over a 7-foot-high stone wall. He fell down an embankment and into a creek bed to finally get Cassius Clay away from him. Somehow, Sam Brown survived, but not only was he lucky for that, he was also dumb as fuck because he...
I beg your pardon?
What?
In the 80s, it was in the 19th century.
Yeah.
Without his nose.
Without his eye and without his ear, I think. He said ear too, right?
Was he like immune to all kinds of infection?
No, he survived back then, so I don't know how long he lived after.
Okay.
Let's wait, because...
Alright. This still sounds like, if this was a movie, I would say it was overdone.
Yeah, it's like Arya in Game of Thrones. Like, that's nothing. I just brush it off.
He then decided to take Cassius Clay to court because apparently after Cassius Clay stabbed him the first time, they were even on the whole assassination attempt thing, so Cassius Clay should go to prison for mayhem. So Cassius Clay calls upon his older cousin, one of the best lawyers on the planet that had never lost in open court with over 40 years of experience, Henry Clay. Henry Clay goes into court and his entire defense for his cousin is, and I quote, "Your Honor, this is just standard behavior for a Kentuckian." And the judge is just like, "You're innocent. Free to go, that's it. Best court case ever." Literally walks in and just goes,
"I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America."
So after Cassius Clay was found innocent, Henry Clay decides that he's going to run for president, and Cassius is going to help him campaign. Cassius is going to tour the country, giving speeches, saying, hey, vote for my cousin. Here's the rule with that. Henry Clay told him he's only allowed to tour the northern states because he's actually legitimately concerned that if he sends Cassius to the south, he's going to shoot so many fucking slave owners in duels that it could be considered voter fraud. So Henry Clay ends up losing the presidential election, and Cassius moves on to his next life adventure, which is becoming an author and writing anti-slavery news articles. The problem with that was none of the newspapers were willing to publish him, so he says, fuck you, I'll start my own newspaper, The True American. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, starting an anti-slavery newspaper in fucking Kentucky in 1845 was not very popular, and his business would receive death threats pretty much every day, some of which were written in blood. So Cassius Clay, in true Cassius Clay fashion, says, fuck it, I guess we're gonna fight about it. He then proceeds to up-armor his entire business and his printing office. He covers the entire front of the office in a large iron sheet, he installs several cannons down corridors, stocks the entire thing with loaded guns, and rigs it to explode. Here's the thing, he also doesn't expect his employees to fight to the death for him, so he installs an escape hatch and instructs them to escape if anything goes down, because he's gonna fight the entire mob by himself. How's he gonna do that? As soon as you walk in the only door to get into that printing office, you find yourself in a long, narrow corridor with iron on each side, just wide enough for a single man to get through. Cassius Clay is going to stand in that narrow corridor and fight the entire mob one man at a time. Literally the mentality of, if you have a problem, take a number, I'll kill you in a minute. This man
like cheesing in a Cells game. Like you can't get through the door.
Yeah, like Leonidas.
created the entire battle of fucking Thermopylae with 300 Spartans, except he's gonna do it all by himself. If you think fucking with John Wick's dog is a bad idea, the last thing you want to do is fuck with Cassius Clay's printing press, because this man is determined to defend the freedom of speech with the right to bear arms at any cost. Obviously, this escalates to Cassius Clay defeating an entire mob single-handedly, right? Wrong. The mob, being full of, super brave pro-slavery men that know they're doing the right thing, do the honorable brave thing and wait till Cassius Clay is bedridden with typhoid fever so they know he isn't going to show up. They show up to his business at night and burn the place to the ground because they're a bunch of fucking bitches. Now, Cassius Clay recovers from typhoid fever. He reestablishes a newspaper in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is an anti-slavery stronghold. The only problem with that is being an anti-slavery stronghold, there's not going to be any conflict, and that's fucking boring, so Cassius Clay moves on to another life adventure, volunteering in the Mexican-American War. While serving in the Mexican-American War, he would be a captain leading a group of Kentucky soldiers, and they would be captured pretty much immediately, and he would spend the duration of the entire war as a POW. While serving as a POW, some of the men under his command would escape, meaning that the Mexican military was then going to put the rest of his unit to death. Cassius Clay said, hey, don't kill my men. Just kill me and my other fellow officers. We're the ones in charge. It's our fault that those men escaped. It's our responsibility. Please let the lower enlisted men go home. The Mexican military was so impressed by this that they decided to spare everyone, including Cassius Clay, and he would return home a war hero. Returning home from the war in 1848, he didn't really know what to do, so he starts giving his famous speeches again, this time leveraging his newfound title as a war hero. So obviously it doesn't take long for him to piss everybody off. He faces yet another assassination attempt. This time 6 brothers from a wealthy slave-owning family show up, the Turner brothers. They show up with clubs and knives and guns, and they beat the living shit out of Cassius Clay with the clubs. They stabbed him multiple times. Cassius Clay whips out his trusted Bowie knife, starts opening up these brothers like they're fucking Amazon packages, making his way to the lead brother and stabbing him an excessive amount of times. We don't know how many times, but we do know it was a lifetime supply. Killing the lead brother, ending the assassination attempt, Cassius Clay would fall to the ground, nearly dead, and this would be the closest anybody ever came to actually killing Cassius Clay.
So
when he was asked about it later,
I was like 6 guys with the claps. I thought, okay, that's the end of the guy.
Yeah, maybe he had another film trick like that knife that caught the bullet, which was the most film part of all of this, I think. All the time now I'm listening to it, I'm thinking I would like to know, because he was giving speeches, he says, but he doesn't really say what about. I know against slavery, but what else? Because I'm really curious what opinions this guy had about other things.
Yeah.
He seems very aggressive, so it would be fascinating if he had more liberal views. It would be very, very strange, but also, to be honest, very conservative views also would be strange for someone who just came out of the stage and cut someone's nose off. So I would really like to see what he had to say about things.
Later on in life, all he said was, I felt the utmost indignation, which translates to, I was fucking annoyed. This man almost died from an assassination attempt, and he has the same attitude towards it that I have towards fucking fruit flies, okay? This dude is so metal, he deserves his own spot on the periodic table of elements. Cassius Clay then makes a full recovery from his injuries, starts giving his speeches again. 1853, he donates a large chunk of his land to John Fee, who uses it to found Berea College, the first co-educational and multiracial college in the South ever. Fast forward to 1860, Cassius Clay is giving speeches in Illinois where he meets a politician by the name of Abraham Lincoln, and they get along great. Cassius Clay is then slotted to become Abraham Lincoln's vice president. However, he's a little bit too Cassius Clay to be an actual big-name politician like that, so they give the job to Hannibal Hamlin, and Cassius Clay becomes the ambassador.
Can you imagine how it would look? Like if Abraham Lincoln would go to this theater with this Cassius Clay guy, and this Wilkes Booth coming with the pistol,
like,
and this guy takes a knife.
Or he wanted to duel all of his opponents, and then... Okay, go on.
Or even worse, if this guy actually managed to kill Lincoln, and this guy is sitting next to him, like, oh...
He would cut off everything that this guy has. Oh my god.
To Russia. 1861, they give the job to Hannibal Hamlin, and Cassius Clay becomes the ambassador to Russia. 1861 rolls around, the Civil War breaks out. Cassius Clay is in Russia. Cassius Clay not only convinces Russia to not side with the Confederates, but he convinces Russia to tell Great Britain and France that if they so much as recognize the Confederacy, Russia will go to war with them. And this was a humongous step that nobody talks about in the winning of the Civil War. And it is 100% because of Cassius Clay.
No,
but that's really like a big thing. How did he manage to do that?
Yeah, I'd like to know more
like
about it.
He convinced whole Russia to go to the war with Great Britain and with France if they will acknowledge the Confederate government.
Yeah, I would like to know more details, like who is Russia, which representatives, was it everyone, like the whole?
I mean, back then it was I think, Romanov dynasty ruling the Russia. Was it Catherine the Great? Or is it...
Is it not a bit too late for that? We are in like 1830s right now.
Oh yeah, she might be dead already.
Yeah. I don't know. But let us know if you know more about this, because I really want to find out. I want to know like how this unfolded, right? Like, because was there official communication from Russia to
Maybe
both France and...
If I know anything about this guy, he put a pistol to the head of the Tsar. And was like...
Call! I was like, but phones are not invented yet. Call anyway! Wait, when did they invent the phone? Sorry for the digression. When did Graham Bell invent the phone? Later, right?
In the 19th century, but
like the second half of the 19th
oh,
century.
I think later, yeah. 19th or it was 20th century already.
No, it couldn't have been. They used phones a lot during the First World War already.
Yes.
So it must have been already been common enough to be used. I don't know.
Fast forward to 80, he talks about in the winning of the Civil War. And it is 100% because of Cassius Clay. Fast forward to 1862, Abraham Lincoln wants to appoint Clay a major general in the Union Army. Cassius Clay publicly refuses the President of the United States, saying that he's not going to do it until the President signs the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing the slaves of the South. Cassius Clay is literally the man that bullied Abraham Lincoln into prematurely signing the Emancipation Proclamation before he wanted to. And nobody talks about it. Fast forward again to 1865, the Union wins the Great American Scrimmage, the slaves are freed. Cassius Clay has achieved his lifelong goal at the age of 55, bringing an end to slavery in the United States of America. He then goes back to Russia again to serve as ambassador until 1869, and while he is there, he helps to broker the purchase of Alaska. This man is probably the most influential person in American history that you've never heard of. After returning home from Russia, Cassius Clay would live out the rest of his days in Whitehall until the age of 80 years old, where he would be declared clinically insane, in hindsight most likely due to a severe amount of PTSD, as well as potentially dementia. He didn't die from it, he lived on for quite a bit longer. He just picked up a new hobby of fucking with the local sheriff because he was crazy now. Over the course of the next decade, Clay and the sheriff would have multiple run-ins that would be concluded when the sheriff and 7 deputies were repelled from Whitehall when Clay utilized his home defense cannon that he had at the top of his stairwell. At that point, the local sheriff would inform the local judge he will not be returning to Whitehall to tangle with Cassius Clay anymore unless the judge was willing to dispatch an entire company of the local militia to accommodate him. Then in 1900, 2 men would break into Whitehall, and Cassius Clay at the age of 89 would manage to kill both of them, one by gunshot and one, yet again, with his trusted Bowie knife. Then in 1903, at the age of
89, not now, but 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Like...
Most people can't cut a piece of bread with a knife and he killed a person.
And he was not mentally in full
Maybe that helped
health.
him. Maybe that helped him. Okay, let's finish this.
One, yet again, with his trusted Bowie knife. Then in 1903, at the age of 92, Cassius Clay would die of natural causes, or as they called it back then, general exhaustion, which is the most gangster way on the planet to go out. Literally just, I'm tired now, peace. And then he left.
I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now.
In conclusion, when it comes to famous historical household names, there's always another man or woman lurking behind the scenes in the shadows that's deemed too rough around the edges to be in the spotlight, yet they contribute just as much, if not more, to the movement. These men and women are willing to do horrific things for terrific reasons, and when it came to Abraham Lincoln and the abolition of slavery, that man's name was Cassius Marcellus Clay, the most gangster politician in American history. Thanks for watching the video. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.
Well, I must say, thank you. That was a really good recommendation. I mean,
yeah, I'm really...
I read those comments that this guy is very good at telling stories.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, he was.
But he really is.
He really is. He knows how to tell it. Even the memes he used, they were like, mwah. Like, he knew exactly what to do. He knows how to tell the story. Yeah, he's really a nice, charismatic guy. I heard some comments about his political views as well, but I haven't really noticed any of that in this video. I wouldn't be able to say.
Oh, this guy? Well, I don't know.
It's just history, so that's good. So that doesn't matter.
But I don't care that much. I mean...
No, me neither, but if I was watching something about the modern times and it was like full of propaganda either way, like, you know, because I think that's what someone said, that it's very skewed. I didn't get that here. But I do wonder why there is not more about this guy. If truly he was so important, I understand maybe because he was violent. I think that's what this guy here was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
But I still find it strange, especially now that we get a new wave of war movies. And not only war movies, but the movies, you know, before that time.
Yeah,
and they are really digging out people we have never heard about before. So I find it strange it was never mentioned.
Yeah, but you know what I think? I think it's just because there is many of those guys. Many people who really did some amazing things. And every time you hear a story like that, you're like, oh, how there is not a movie about this guy, how we don't hear more about this guy. But it's just because there's not so little of them.
True. And then when you talk about...
more histories of courage. Like, for example, in Poland, there is this guy who most of the Polish people know about, but he is not very popular abroad. He was called Witold Pilecki, and he was a military man. I don't remember the rank. I remember the rank in Poland, but I'm not able to translate that to English because it was something with the cavalry, on the horses. But this guy voluntarily went to Auschwitz just to give reports about what is happening inside. Then he escaped from Auschwitz. He reported everything to the United States. He was fighting against Germans and against the communists. And he died only in Poland after the war, killed by the communist government. So, also, he's not mentioned abroad.
Yeah, you're right.
It's
probably that. And then if you make a movie, you focus about, Abraham Lincoln, and you can't really talk about everyone who influenced him.
Another story like that, I remember I read about this guy who was, I think, Spanish, and he was a spy during World War II. Mm-hmm. And he served as a spy for the Allies, but the Allies didn't want him because he was no one. So first he went to the Nazis. He said, I want to be spy for you. So the Nazis were like, okay. And then he went to the Allies again and he was like, I'm a spy to the Nazis now.
Do you want me to
be spy too? And they were like, yes. So he was like, hooray. And then he contributed vastly to the D-Day invasion. I heard that he was, and I don't know how true this is, but I heard that he was one of the reasons why the Germans didn't thought about protecting Maha Beach. They didn't think that it will be the place where Americans will land. They thought it was a different place. And
because
they were
hinted them.
And they were prepared to defend this place. And apparently, from what I heard, it was because of this guy mostly. And they even prepared like tanks and artillery made from like wood, just for it to look like there is a military there preparing to board the
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so like I said, there is many stories like that. And that's why history is so fascinating, I think, because, you can be fan of World War II, but it was such a big event that you could spend your whole life and still not know everything. And
maybe especially
that's just one event
that came before.
Yeah, and especially with events before, and if you are, want to learn about more history from different countries.
You have endless source
of content.
Thanks for watching with us, and thanks for the recommendation.
Yes, I think we will watch this guy again, definitely. So thank you again for these recommendations, and if you liked it, subscribe,
leave us a like,
and comment, and
see
have a nice day.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.